This is a Muddy Fox fixed gear bike. It's actually one of the cheapest fixies for sale in the UK. It's £124.99 and about £5 for delivery. It's sold via Sports Direct. Actually bought this one off eBay on the Sports Direct's eBay page. So delivery all included to your house is about £130. Obviously you can see quality wise it's not the best quality bike ever made, but it seems all right. My last road bike was a Giant Defy 1. I've actually just sold that. Giant Defy 1 cost me about £800 when it was new. So obviously quality wise it's a far superior bike. But I want something simple. I'm doing some Deliveroo now, looking again to do Uber Eats and Stuart Delivery as well. So I just wanted a cheap bike to ride around town. Just going to make this a bit of a tank bike and just put full mud guards on it, lights, stuff like that. Just to make it basically a delivery bike. My other bike, which I'm picking up tomorrow, is a Caliber Boss Nut, which is an all suspension, full suspension mountain bike. So haven't been doing as much road biking lately, so I got rid of the Defy, getting an all suspension mountain bike because I think mountain biking will just reignite my passion for bikes, and just wanted a bit of a tank bike, something cheap, something that's not going to get stolen, something I can ride around town. So initially, overall, like the bike doesn't look too bad. There's some parts of it that definitely look cheap. I'm really not happy with this stem. The stem seems really cheap. These threads, it's only a two bolt front on the, I much prefer the 4-bolt one, so I'm probably going to just change the stem. Handlebars seem a bit crappy as well. But my overall intention with this bike is just to get this as a cheap base. You know, £130 is still cheap base for a bike, and then maybe slowly upgrade it over time. Probably get to the point in the future where nothing's original. You know, it's a steel frame. I've ridden quite a few steel frame bikes, even cheap ones. In my opinion, even a cheap steel framed bike rides better than a medium price aluminium frame. I wouldn't be surprised when we get this out the road if this just feels smoother than the Defy 1 did. That was quite a crashy bike. The Defy 1, very strong aluminium frame, not a huge amount of forgiveness in it compared to steel. So overall quite happy. It's quite easy to assemble. Basically when it comes in the box, you know, the saddle's off, the handlebars were disconnected here and the front wheel's off. So it only took about like 5 minutes top to take the package off it, to get it all connected. I haven't put the pedals on yet. You know, it helps you out. It's got the stickers on here. If you're first time putting a bike together, you can't get it wrong. Easy enough to put the pedals on. Weight wise, this weighs 11.7 kilograms. So that is a heavy bike. You know, it's steel framed. These wheels look pretty heavy and crappy as well. We'll see how well the wheels stand up to like urban riding, going off curbs and stuff like this. They have this quite interesting spoke pattern. You know, it's quite an interesting spoke pattern. I probably would have preferred normal spoke pattern because you know where you stand with the traditional spoke pattern. I don't know if this is going to be slightly weaker by having the larger gaps between spokes, but overall, like, happy with the bike. You know, you're probably going to need to be a little bit of a bike fettler to get on with this bike, because even out the box, you know, the back brakes are dragging, front brakes are dragging as well, but not as much. So they're still dragging, so it's going to need brake adjustment. But you know, that's minor, that's not really something to worry about. Like, they're things you want to learn about bikes yourself anyway. But I can see someone first time riding, it's a super cheap entry-level bike. Probably not many people with, like, I'm not like a professional cyclist, but you know, I've ridden a lot of bikes, used to do like thousands of kilometers a year. So probably not many people with my kind of cycle experience would go for a super cheap bike like this. But I thought it was just interesting. We'll see how it gets on doing Deliveroo. Probably going to put quite a lot of miles on it over the next few months. But as you say, upgrade it. The stem seems cheap and crappy. The handlebars seem really cheap and crappy. So probably initially going to upgrade those. I have ridden other really cheap bikes. When they had these really cheap tyres, they're pretty horrible. They're so slippery, these cheap tyres. So I'll probably even just go and wiggle and get some like cheap Vittoria. The Vittoria, I can't remember what they are, but they're like the really cheap ones they do on Wiggle, the Vittoria tyres. Always has great success with those. Quite punch resistant, roll relatively fast, and very durable. Like, you can get those for like £6-8 a tyre on Wiggle. So probably do the stem, change the handlebars, maybe change the tyres. Long term, you say maybe just do the whole bike. Brakes seem okay, brakes seem powerful enough. Could play around with the gearing, you know, single speed, so you might want to play around with the gearing. I'm not really going to entertain the fixed gear that much. I'm just going to leave it as a single speed. Out the box, it comes on the single speed side of the hub, not the fixed gear side, which makes sense. It makes sense they'll do it that way around. But overall, happy with the bike. You know, it's kind of heavy, it's kind of cheap, but these sort of bikes, You change them around, you start switching parts up you're not happy with. You know, if you want to change the stem, change the handlebars, maybe eventually not happy with the wheels, get maybe some bomb-proof like Shimano wheels on there. Overall, you're looking at a cheap way to get into like single speed or fixie riding. So see where we go with this. Like long term, we're just going to turn it into like a bit of a Panzer delivery bike, just like a tank of a delivery bike. Got full mud guards in the garage to go on there. Get some big lights on there. Probably leave the reflectors on. Like most bikes I've had, I've always take the reflectors off just because, you know, they're just not fashionable at all. Probably get rid of these ones, but front and back, you know, safety is the #1 paramount. If you're doing courier riding, you don't want to get knocked off, because if you get knocked off, you're not earning money, right? So we'll see where we go from there. Take it out for a ride, take it out for a little test spin and see how we get on. So I've just put the pedals on, ridden it for a few miles. When I first got the bike, I actually thought the headset was set too tightly, but after just riding it around the block, that's loosened off. So it probably was just like some overly packed grease. So that's fine now. If you're happy to do work on the bike yourself, this does represent good value. Obviously these brakes are going to need some adjustment. But if you're just looking for a cheap bike to ride to work, maybe do some deliveries on, you know, ride to university, college, you can't really go wrong for £130. You know, the chain set on expensive bikes represents such a big cost on the bike itself. You know, with a single speed, you've eliminated all that cost. You've got one gear at the back, one gear at the front. You can't really go wrong. Also, you know, when you're parking your bike in town up against other bikes, the derailleur is such a weak point. It's so easy to get damaged, but you've taken all that risk. So single speeds, in my opinion, for urban riding are super reliable. Obviously, if you've got hills and stuff like that, it can be a bit killer on a single speed. But just bear that in mind. You know, most cities are flat, so just riding around city, riding around town, it's a perfect bike for that. I'm hoping to do a few delivery shifts on this bike this week. I'll let you know how I get on with those. Look forward to the next video. I'll be putting mud guards on it, lights, just making it a bit of a Deliveroo Panzer, a bit of a tank bike, uber reliable delivery bike. Go on there, the full mud guards, will be getting out there in the wet and the snow doing delivery, so look forward to that. But hopefully this bike turns out well. Looking forward to doing some kilometers on it. See you in the next video.